This is the top 10 CDs I want on vinyl, although I don't really know why I'm calling it CDs. These are the top 10 releases I want on vinyl. All of these at one point I did have on CDs. Some of these I might have lying around somewhere, but I do not collect CDs. I purged 90% probably of my CDs a while ago. And I think that digital downloads and digital streams are much better than CDs these days. Higher quality, bitrate, and all that. But we're talking vinyl. These are the albums that the top 10, no particular order, that I just wish I could find on vinyl. And for me, when I say like they're out of print, you can't find them, if you're going on Discogs and they're $100 plus, to me that's out of print. I'm not interested. I have no interest in spending that kind of money on a record. So for me, in no particular order here, these are 10 records, 10 releases I sure wish I could find on vinyl. The first one I'm going to talk about is Sleeps with Angels by Neil Young. Now, if you watched my recent countdown of all the Neil Young videos, I definitely talked about Sleeps with Angels. I talked about it again in my concert review of the Neil Young show here in Seattle. I love that album. And in fact, seeing him live and doing that countdown really made me like it even more. And I would absolutely love to sit down and have a dedicated listener 2 or 12 with the Sleeps with Angels vinyl. But that doesn't seem to be happening. Although I'm encouraged now, he's got his original release series just came out, and it goes up to Weld or Arc Weld with Freedom and Ragged Glory. So I'm thinking maybe the next one would certainly have to include Sleeps with Angels. I think Neil was definitely going through that material recently because he was playing so much of it live. So Sleeps with Angels is one of them I definitely wish I had on vinyl. Number 2 for me is Sparklehorse. Now, I think most of their albums are really hard to find these days. And if I had to pick just one that I would love to have on vinyl and revisit, it would be Good Morning Spider. Good Morning Spider got me into Sparklehorse. I just found this when I was moving recently. I have Good Morning Spider matches. I usually don't save too much of this kind of stuff, but I got this at the show. It was in the 7th Street entry in Minneapolis, I'm guessing 1998. But other albums, It's a Wonderful Life, Viva Dixie Submarine, I think that's what it's called, the first one. Definitely would like to get those two as well. There's a documentary that recently came out about Sparklehorse, and there's also a new album that was unreleased that his family put together, unreleased recordings that is coming out too. So there'd be the hope that there's a reissue campaign that Good Morning Spider would be coming out sometime soon, along with the other Sparklehorse records. The next one I'm going to talk about, you can find, it's out there. It's Jane's Addiction, Nothing Shocking. The reason why it's on my list is because they shaved a song off of it. And to me, if you take Pigs in Zen off Nothing Shocking ceases to be Nothing Shocking. And therefore, I'm not going to buy it on vinyl. And it's out of print to me. So, yes, I would love to see Nothing Shocking by Jane's Addiction, the full album, put out on 2 LPs sometime soon. Hopefully that will happen. The next one I'm going to talk about is by Vic Chesnutt. I have most of his stuff on vinyl, although he's got a vast catalog and there's all kinds of little side projects and stuff. New West is handling a lot of it. Little, West of Rome, Drunk, Is the Actor Happy, and there's some other labels that are handling some of his other records. The one I do not see at all, I don't even know if it's ever come out on vinyl, is A Salesman and Bernadette. Great album. I think it's also from 1998. He did it with Lamb Chop. So you would think that there'd be some, either Lamb Chop's record company or Vic Chesnutt's. I know it was supposed to be a major label release, though, on Capitol. They dropped it. I once saw a version of it. I'm just still kicking myself. It was on CD. That was on Capitol and floating around before it got pulled back or canceled, and they put it out on Capricorn shortly after. But that's The Salesman and Bernadette, a brilliant concept record by one of our best songwriters, Vic Chesnutt. He was absolutely amazing. And if you're not familiar, I would start at the very beginning with Little and West of Rome. Those are some of my favorite Vic Chesnutt records, but he's got a lot of them, and you can dive in pretty much anywhere. The next one is something that I wasn't even really aware of until I got really active on this channel and message boards and heard people keep talking about it a lot. And that's the Beatles in Mono, a box set that came out quite a while ago that apparently could get pretty cheap until recently. Now it's got outrageous prices. I do think it would be really cool to have all those Beatles records on mono, at least up to the point where they were supposed to be on mono, or where they spent all their time mixing mono and stereo as kind of a second thought. So definitely would like to find one of those, or I don't, or have it re-released rather. I'm not going to spend a couple $1,000s on one, but would love to have that re-release so people could get it, including myself. The next one, I just recently been on kind of a Prince kick, and I thought, I should listen to the Black Album, which has never been one of my favorite Prince albums, but it's a nice curiosity, and if you're in the right mood, it can sound really good. And I tried to stream it, and it's not available. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll order it. Maybe it's out there on vinyl. Not at all. It came out for a limited time in 1994. I had the CD, but you can't find it now, not for any prices approaching anything that is in the realm of possibility. So yes, I would love to see the Black Album by Prince. His estate is releasing a ton of stuff. I wish they would add that to the list. Maybe they already have. Another one I've been streaming a lot lately. I had it on CD. I saw them several times back in the day, back in the 90s, is Luna. And my favorite album by them is Penthouse. It's the one I play the most. I definitely like Bewitched too quite a bit, and even some of their later stuff. But yeah, Penthouse is just such a good record. Love it, and have fond memories of it. Certainly, like I said, stream it a lot of times in the car. I would just love to have that on vinyl, have that dedicated listen between two speakers, look at all the packaging, and really dive into it. Out of print, I don't know why. I think the other one I mentioned, their second album, Bewitched, is out there. You can get that one. And I think Penthouse was a limited record store day type thing. You had to be there or you didn't get it. But yeah, so that's one. Penthouse by Luna. The next one is the album that got me into Joe Henry and remains my favorite album by Joe Henry, and that's Trampoline. I love what he was doing there. I love the sort of playing around with noise and technology and kind of getting away from that alt country thing. A lot of people would see that album, Trampoline, and Fuse as sort of these interesting kind of alternative albums he put out before he got into more of his jazz and blues kind of thing he's been doing now for decades. I love Trampoline, and I would love to get that on vinyl. It's never been put out on vinyl. So Joe Henry's Trampoline. He has so many albums. I'm not sure that's one of his most popular. I kind of doubt it will get put out anytime soon, but one can always hope. And another one I have is Robyn Hitchcock. And it is another album that got me into him, right? So it's more important to me than it probably is to a lot of people. But it's his album Respect that came out in 1993. The last on A&M, which kind of treated him like a joke. They didn't take him really seriously. I don't think they realized what they had. But those are some of the most conventional Robyn Hitchcock records. They're still, strange. They're still Robyn Hitchcock. They're still very quirky and interesting. But Respect is just such a good, almost mainstream kind of sounding record by Robyn Hitchcock. He's dealing with his father's death. Lots of heavy kind of emotional songs on there. Really good lyric writing. It's my favorite, I think, and maybe not my favorite, but it's way up there for me for Robyn Hitchcock records. Definitely my favorite Robyn Hitchcock and the Egyptians record. That's Respect from 1993. Don't see any sign of it coming out. Would love to have that in my hands someday. And the last one I want to talk about is by Sinead O'Connor, and I'm still kind of really trying to process the fact that she's no longer with us. Her death hit me really, really hard for a celebrity death. Maybe the most hard any have since Kurt Cobain. I just always rooted for her, you know. I got into her with Lion and the Cobra. I absolutely love Lion and the Cobra. It's by far my favorite album of hers. So impressive. I mean, she wrote the thing when she was like 15. It's just an unbelievably good record, and just has a sound and an emotion to it all its own. And I got into her then, and then saw her explode with "Nothing Compares to You" and "I Do Not Want What I Do Not Have." She said it in her book. She wishes she had never gotten to that kind of fame that she got with that song and that album. And I wish that was the case too, because I think she'd still be around. I think it's sad what people did to her. The problems that she had were exacerbated by society and the way that we treated an artist at the time. An artist who was willing to push boundaries and do something different was far bolder than most artists you see now who are riding some kind of train. My God, what an amazing artist. And forget the fact that she's revolutionary. Her songs, her albums are just great. The one album that I had on CD that I would really like to re-experience, especially on vinyl, is Universal Mother. Came out in 1994. It was after Kurt Cobain died. She actually covers All Apologies on it. It's a serious record. I think it's a very personal one for her. It's her first album of new material after the Saturday Night Live incident, and I would just love to hear it again. I don't think I've heard it in a number of years, and I would sure love to hear it on vinyl, but it's not available. So that's one. There's other Sinead albums too. I wish were out. In fact, some of them aren't even on streaming right now. I don't know why that is, but Sinead, what a loss. And all of her albums should be out on vinyl. And hopefully they will come out and not just some kind of cash grab by labels. So anyway, that's my list. I would love to hear other people's. What's out of print? What is just so outrageously expensive that it doesn't even matter if it's available, and not in print but available. I'd love to hear your list. These are mine. I could probably add 10 different ones on another day if I really thought about it, but this is where my head's kind of at right now, what I want right now that I cannot get. I do want what I do not have when it comes to these albums.